Hi, my name is Paulina. I'm here with my team. You can't see them because they're invisible, and they won't be talking because they're a little shy, but they're here. You gotta trust me. In our school, we were assigned a project in which the subjects history and English were basically joined together. We chose to talk about the current war that's going on, which is between Gaza and Israel, which I think is a appropriate theme due to the circumstances. We talk about the story of what's going on and how we would manage it, or how we can help more, or basically what the ideal solution would be to this. In our storyboard, here it is. In our storyboard, the first scene is a normal day in Palestine. Our newspaper, our imaginary newspaper, is called Peace is Our Best Bet. It really is our best bet, you know? Because if we live such a short life, I don't think it's worth it to, you know, spend our time in wars and fighting and just taking control over territories when we can really just share the space and enjoy our lives, because we don't really know how much time we have here. And I think it's really important to maybe come to an agreement, but I know it's better said than done. Wars will always exist. I mean, they are inevitable, which is sad to say, because I do wish it wasn't the case and we could live in a world where peace always wins. But we don't live in a perfect world, and that's not reality. So let's get right into the storyboard. No, the first scene I'm gonna be talking about is called A Normal Day in Palestine. Palestine and Israel have always been in a sort of disagreement, or at least a little misunderstanding. They have always been fighting for territory. Like, Palestine wants to become, you know, this independent state, and Israel wants to be in control. There has always been this sort of conflict and tension between these states. So it's really a thing that has been going on, and it isn't just like 2023, like this just happened out of nowhere. No, Palestinian families had a normal life. They weren't just always starving and having this sort of doubt about how their life is gonna go out, and if they're ever gonna go out maybe into another country, because can you really be safe in any place? If Israel is really determined on, you know, end Palestine, maybe there's really no place to hide and no place to be. So that's what we're trying to convey in our first scene. Obviously, these are people, and these are lives, these are realities. This is not just, I mean, it's called a storyboard, of course, but I think it's more of a reality board, because it's really showing what is going on in the world. So the second scene is here. The start of the disaster. It truly was the start of a disaster. Israel started bombing and attacking Palestine. And you know, it wasn't out of nowhere. As I said, they have a lot of history together. Basically, the disagreement just went a little out of border, and it started a war. Palestine did send a surprise attack to Israel before, and that's why the whole thing started. And basically now Israel is like going crazy and basically saying like, okay, you wanted war, here's your war. This scene represents how a normal family, like we said, out of nowhere, they imagine you lose your roof, you lose your pets, your family, your friends, your house, your entire neighborhood, like you lose it all. We have to do everything in our power to help these people out. At this point, it doesn't really matter who is right, who is wrong. I think the most important thing right now is that everyone is safe. So yeah, that's what we try to represent in scene 2, the start of the disaster, which, I mean, the disaster is still going. So there isn't really a scene that is called the end of the disaster, because I think the disaster is still going on. In the next scene, which is called Palestine's stomach is empty, I truly do believe it is. Quite literally, because there's not really enough resources in their bodies and not enough nutrients to stay alive. And there's actually people starving and people losing their homes, struggling to stay alive daily due to this war, in which I think we could always help more. We can be the little sparkle of hope in their eyes that has been gone since the start of the disaster. Being alive shouldn't be worrying, shouldn't be living on a tiny thread and living
I brought you a gift. I made it. It was for Yellow Flowers Day, but I just got it, so here you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My sister brought me a gift. Things like this. Things like thinking about the other person is what truly makes a difference. maybe even a different perspective. Thinking about other people more can make a bigger impact than what you think. We have a lot of people in the world. We do have a lot of population. I'm not gonna lie. But that doesn't mean a person is less worthy of love than another. If we have enough resources to have people be rich, I think there's enough resources to be shared. The society we live in is quite selfish. Why would you aspire to have more territory when that means taking out lives? How many lines are you willing to cross to have more power? How many lives are you willing to cross to have more power? If it happened to them, it can happen to us. The hearts you shatter, the families you break, and the buildings you destroy, they're not coming back. I'm sorry, I don't know why I started crying. Well, actually, I do know. I don't think any of us deserve to live in a world where war is what dominates. But that's just my opinion. Touching on the topic of peace, the next scene is called Your Wish is My Command. I'm not talking about the Queen song, I'm talking about Palestine. Countries started helping Palestine. Countries have started sending packages of food and of resources to Palestine, which I think is really nice. I think that's what we should have been doing from the start. We can help them out. We can do what we can with what we have. Isn't that right, team?
Paulina, ahí no hay nadie.
The next scene is called The Voices of the Silence. So I think it's a perfect title because it represents that we are trying to talk for the people who can't. People are protesting for Palestine and just making sure people know what is going on. I think this is all just so avoidable, and I don't think, I don't know, I don't understand the world, man, I really don't. I think, for me, like I said, we can always help more. We should really be thinking about how our actions impact on other people. We are greedy, and that is just a human nature. But how much longer is that gonna be the excuse? But yeah, and the last scene is just to represent how everyone can be united. That would be obviously the ideal team. The last scene is to represent the unity of everyone, and basically, I mean, I truly do hope Israel and Palestine could come to terms. Truly do hope that's what reality brings. But I do pray for times to be better for the both of them. I do think we can make the world a better place. And I know that's a bold statement. We just have to believe. I think hope never lets down. How can we say I love my friends if you don't take care of the place they live in? This was all from me and my team. I truly do hope, not that you enjoyed the video, I mean also, but I hope you enjoy your life and enjoy the people you have around, because you never know how much time we have. And I think it's better to love without a sign of peace instead of hating due to the absence of peace. Why hate each other when we are all that we have left?